Hey there, my name is Zach Johnson, and again, this is actually going to be part two of the three-part series of an introduction to Ableton Live. Last class, or last week, we looked at the overview, or giving you an overview, just a basic starting point to using Ableton Live. And today we're going to be talking about how to get stuff in there, meaning how are we going to get audio loops, samples into Ableton Live and start using them. But before we do that, a couple things I just want to point out. Because we are streaming this live, for those of you who want to take advantage of our chat system in our YouTube page, head over to the if you have a YouTube account, or even if you don't have a YouTube account, go ahead and just search either Garnish Music or Garnish Music Production School. And right now, for the next hour, you could be submitting your questions, asking me questions, all things Ableton related, and I will try my best to answer them in the order I am receiving them. And again, this is kind of a way to give you an idea of what our classes are like if you wanted to take some classes via Zoom. As of right now, we offer all types of different classes, and if you look at the Garnish, or if you type in edu.garnishmusicproduction.com, you could head over to one of our satellite schools and check out one of our locations, and then you could also check out our live online courses. And stick around for the end of this stream, because I will be bringing this back up. We'll be talking about this some more. But again, if you have any questions for me as we're live streaming this right now in real time, you can be submitting questions. So yeah, I look forward to seeing if you guys have any questions for me. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into today's exercise. So again, today is all about getting started with audio loops and audio effects. I'm going to dive in a little bit into the audio effects world. You're going to see that there's a large range of different types of audio effects. So I'll just be giving you some like basic starting points and ways you can modulate and manipulate your audio clips or audio samples that you're using. Okay, so as you can see right now, I already have Ableton Live started. If you are curious on how to actually even download Ableton, go back to a previous video where I talked about how to get started in Ableton. You could also refer to ableton.com to see the different options for digital audio workstations or for the different packages that they have. So again, right now I already have Ableton open, and currently this is what we call the session view. And over here in the collections, categories, places section, this is the main browser hub. This is where I can find all my sounds, whether it's MIDI effects, instruments, and samples. So how I'd like to do this, because there's multiple ways you can go about this. So in the first part of this, I'm going to show you how you can actually load sounds into the session view using some of the packages or sample kits that actually come installed with Ableton if you do have the full suite. So if you look over here in the category section, you have a categories called sounds, drums, instruments, audio effects, MIDI effects, Max for Live, plugins, clips. Okay, in clips, in this section, I'm going to show you how you can actually just literally just click and drag. It's actually super simple to load stuff in. And if you can see here, these are all of my Ableton Live clips, the extension .alc. This is a mixture of audio clips and MIDI clips. Now, again, today's particularly are going to be just talking about waveforms, but I just want to show you the variations of audio that you can use. And if you click on any one of these, okay, you can, as you can hear, and you can automatically preview the clips, which is really cool. And Ableton tries to assist you in a few different ways. One, they give you a title, a description of the Ableton Live clip. Two, they'll most of the time give you the actual key. If it is a tonal sample, they'll actually tell you the key. And then three, they will display the tempo, the original tempo that this audio clip was recorded in. So for example, this one's called Absolute Filth. That's the title. And it's in the key of C, C minor, and the tempo is 132 BPM, beats per minute. Okay. So just another useful thing to know to have when you are loading in clips. So I've already pre-selected some for today's lesson because, again, I mean, double-edged sword here. We could spend all day searching sounds, as you can see here. I have a lot of options here. Some might argue and say too many, but they are organized very well. Right now I have them actually organized alphabetically. And if you're scrolling through your clips and you're not seeing as many, again, don't worry, don't panic. That doesn't mean that you're missing out on some wonderful opportunity, or you feel like a touch of FOMO, like you don't have as much as me. This is just over time. I've been using Ableton for a long time, so I've built my collection over the years, and you will too. But by default, if you have the full Ableton suite, you should see plenty of Ableton live clips to work with. All right. So the ones I chose for today, again, are right from the Ableton full suite. And this one right off the bat is a drum loop. And it says, let's see, ANVG drums 73 BPM ALC. So this is how easy it is. Ready? All you have to do, this is one way to approach this. You can just click and drag it right into an audio track. And you'll notice something changes here. As soon as I drag it into the audio track, remember, this is a full-on audio track here. We have our levels, we have our panning left and right, track activator, on, off, solo, arm, sends, and returns. Now, it will automatically rename the track, and it will automatically give the track the audio loop a color. And when you're looking at this kind of rectangle shape form here, okay, I was trying not to use the word, but this is technically called a clip, an Ableton audio clip, okay? And it's important to know the difference between audio clips and MIDI clips. And for next week's segment, I'll be diving more into MIDI, so just hang tight on that. But for now, what you need to know is that this is an audio clip. And how do I know it's an audio clip? By double clicking on it like this, okay? Not on the actual track itself, the track title, but the actual clip itself. You can see down here, this is what we call a waveform, okay? Let me expand this so you can see what's going on here. This is an actual, what you're looking at right here, okay? Just gonna highlight it. This is a waveform, an audio waveform. And audio waveforms can come in different outputs, different compression types. For example, for higher quality, lossless, okay, uncompressed original waveforms, you would want something that's either extension .fa or FLAC, which stands for FLAC or Flacier, WAV, that is a wave or waveform, and then .AIF or AIFF, again, uncompressed, lossless file types. There are definitely several different other types of compressed audio. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with iTunes compressions, whether it's an AAC or MP3, right? Which you can load those in. You can load in MP3s. You can actually even load in MP4s for video editing. But for the highest quality type or uncompressed, you would want to look out for something like a WAV or a AIFF, okay? So this is a WAV file, and it's as easy as just hitting play to preview the sound. Okay. Then I can stop it right here, just like that. And again, just kind of reviewing from what we did in the last session, we can hit play. We can use the volume fader, turn it up and down. I can pan it left or right. Hard pan left, hard pan right. Okay. On or off. Sends. Here's my reverb send. Okay. And here is my delay send. And I can solo it if I actually am wanting to solo it with a track playing in the background. So again, let's just do this review this one more time, or actually a couple more times. Again, I'm going to load in another clip, but before I load it in, we can actually preview it before we throw it into an audio track. So check this out. If I just click on it once, okay, and then come down here, and you'll see this little bar down here where it says click to preview. So this is your preview bar before you commit to any sounds that you might want to load in. So if I go ahead and click on it, okay, you can hear that sound. And if you're not hearing it, if you go to click on it and you're still not, you could see the waveform, but you actually can't hear the clip, you got to make sure the monitoring symbol is activated right here, the bottom left hand side. Okay, again, so where did I get this clip from? This came right from my clips folder. And you might be wondering, well, why did I put it in my collections folder? Again, if you can see here, I organized my collections, and we talked about collections in the previous video. So you can go back to that and watch that again, or watch it for the first time. But right here, this is my later folder. So I pulled these clips from the clip folder and then put them on my later folder for this demonstration. So if you're wondering what's going on up here, that's what's happening. So I like this. It's a cool little sample. So I'm going to go ahead and load it in. Okay. All right. So something to point out here that's actually really crucial about this is that Ableton, or a lot of times, like I said, the Ableton Live clips will have the actual recorded BPM value implemented inside, like actually labeled for you. So the original recording of these clips, if you were to play them, sometimes might play back slower when you're previewing them, but when you load them in, they might play back faster or slower, depending on what your master tempo is. Okay, so right now my master tempo, I have it set to 100 beats per minute. So technically, when I play this clip back, even though it was recorded at 73 beats per minute, it's actually going to play back a little bit faster. Technically, it's going to play back at 100 beats per minute. Can I go ahead and bring this back down to 73 beats per minute? Absolutely. Can I not have Ableton automatically set this to 100 beats per minute? Absolutely. And that has something to do with the Warp engine, which I'll talk about in a moment here. But for now, let's just have fun let's just preview these two clips. Let's hear what they sound like together. And I could toggle them on individually like this. Okay, and I can stop them both individually at a time on each track, or I could turn my attention to what's called the scene and then play them both at the same time. So if I go ahead and hit play here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the track volumes for each one and make sure that, again, in my master, I'm looking at my master, make sure these clips aren't, audio tracks aren't clipping, meaning any unwanted distortion going in the red. That's kind of like a warning, like, hey, you're running a little hot here. So let's go ahead and play these together now in the scene at the same time. As you can see here, I can adjust the volume. Maybe I want my drums to be a little bit louder. And for fun, let's add a little bit of delay. So I'm going to send this synth horn to the return track B, which is delay. And I can solo it to hear what it's doing. This is without, with. So it's just adding a little bit of movement to the horn. So again, this is a great way to just implement some effects. And if you're wondering where's that delay coming from, again, remember when I send something to, if it's a send B, that's telling me it's going to this delay, all right? And by default, for any of you who have Ableton Live, by default, Ableton will already assist you by putting a reverb on send A, and then on send B, you should have a delay. And the cool thing is that you can customize these. You can say, like, maybe I don't want a delay on send B, or a return track B. Maybe I want a distortion pedal. So the cool thing is that you can change these and customize them as much as you want. But delay and reverb can go a long way, and it's a great place to start. So just by experimentation, play around with this. And then maybe on my drums, I'll add a little bit of reverb. You hear it? Now my drums aren't so dry without, with. That sounds cool. I'm gonna unsolo. Okay, then I hit the space bar to stop these. I could also, if I wanted to, I could use the playhead up here. And I could use the stop scene. Okay, this is stopping the scene right down here, taking over both of these tracks. So again, what you're looking at is two audio waveforms, aka audio clips, right? In Ableton. I can toggle between these two, and you can see down here in the clip editor section where we can further modulate the audio. Lives down here. Okay, but let's before we get into that, let's add one more clip, and this clip is a little bit different. Okay, so this is also an ALC file, and I can also preview it. So if I go ahead and click on it here, and again, yes, this also came from the Ableton clip series. Okay, so they call it Roomba Shaker and claves, 135 beats per minute. Okay, so if we go ahead and drop this in, I click and drag. See, here's the fun thing, guys, is that you don't need to preload an audio track or an audio or a MIDI track. If you just click and drag, Ableton will recognize what the file type is and will automatically create either an audio track for you or a MIDI track for you. Now, here's something to note though. And by the way, quick review, we went over this last session, but these are just two wonderful key commands to understand and know and practice, okay? Is Command T to create an audio track and Shift Command T to create a MIDI track on Macintosh OS. If I right click, I can also insert an audio track or MIDI track any in here in this window, and also inserting return tracks as well. And you'll see the associated key commands for those. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because technically all of these look the same, right? For the most part, the tracks themselves, but pay attention or observe. Audio track, right? Here's the waveforms, okay? Audio tracks, waveforms, clips, okay? W.AV. But when I click on this clip, Ableton clip, audio clip, looks a little bit different, right? Okay, what happened here? Why am I seeing this piano roll? And that's what this is representing, by the way, the vertical axis. This is actually a keyboard, okay? If you can kind of imagine that for a moment. Here's your C key, a C sharp, or black notes, and then the white notes. But then you see these little kind of squares, these little dots here. Like, what is going on? Well, the big difference, okay, is that even though this is audio, I'll go ahead and play it. It's technically coming from a MIDI instrument, okay? So I can't stress that enough. There is a difference. With audio clips, with audio waveforms, you're actually going to see the actual waveform itself. But when it comes to MIDI, what you're looking at here is what's called MIDI. Okay? If you're wondering how I'm zooming in and zooming out, okay, you can actually just pinch with your mouse. You have this magnifying glass will appear here, okay? This is the sample display, no editor section, all right? It takes a little while to get used to. So if you're getting frustrated trying to zoom in, zoom out, don't worry, you're not alone, especially if it's your first time doing this, okay? And when you look at the audio waveforms, you won't see a piano roll because these are actual just audio loops, all right? So what do you use MIDI for? Well, if you want to actually play piano in real time, if you actually want to maybe trigger in real time drum samples using something like a drum rack or Ableton's one of my favorites called the simpler, which we're going to talk about next class here. But yeah, so there is a difference. So this is for like launching things in real time, and then if you, aka MIDI, and if you want to manipulate audio loops. Not to say I couldn't launch these because we are in the session view, not to confuse the term launching here, but is one better than the other? No. Okay. I like using both, and I think you'll also discover that you'll find some benefits to just using audio loops, and you'll find some benefits to just using MIDI clips or MIDI loops. So anyways, we're not going to spend too much time talking about MIDI. I want to get back to audio. But now that I have these 3 loops in here, okay, I can play them all at once. So I go ahead and come up here and hit play. Maybe turn my shakers down a little bit. Again, I could solo, maybe just the shakers. And if you hold down the command key, you can solo more than one at a time. Okay. Or use the track activator. Again, kind of getting like just a basic mix of these tracks. Take advantage of the panning function. Okay, so maybe this drum, my main drum, will be dead center, and then maybe my horns will be panned to the left a little bit. Okay, just creating some, some stereo depth here, and then the shaker I'll pan to the right a little bit. Okay, so I have some loops, but now I want to record them. I'm digging them. I want to maybe start recording them and start manipulating these tracks a little bit more. How do I do that? Okay, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to go about this. Maybe even 3. We'll see. We have time, but at least 2 that are very important to understand and know. Remember, in the session view, what makes the session view a lot of fun is that you can definitely launch and manipulate clips in kind of unorthodox ways that's unique to Ableton. And again, if you if you do decide to take a class with us or sign up for any of our classes, which I'll talk about again at the end of this segment, we definitely dive into the experimentation parts of Ableton, which is super fun. Part of the reason why I love it so much. But so the first way I want to show you how to do this from the session view is if I wanted to maybe just play one clip at a time and record it, watch how easy this is. All you have to do is come up here and hit record and then start playing the clips, okay? And when you record them, they will go into what's called the arrangement view. Remember the first key command, if you watch the video from our last session, the overview, is the tab key, okay? But we're not going to do that. We're not going to hit the tab key right away. What I need to do is go ahead and record these clips. So I'm going to make sure they're all turned off by default. I'm going to come over here and just double click on my stop button in the session or in the scene view and make sure that's off. Okay. And how I'm going to start this? I'm going to start this with the horns. I'm going to play the horns, and then I'm going to introduce the shaker. And then I'm going to introduce the drums. Now, something to point out here, and I know, definitely try this yourself, but if you notice that something's not right, meaning that you might play something and then it stops playing after a little while, it might be because your loop setting is off. Now, by default, again, if you watched the last segment, we talked about how in the preferences you can set your clips to be auto looped, so you don't have to worry about turning this on and off. And I'll talk about it a little bit more about this in a moment. But for now, just so if you're curious how these clips can just keep playing forever, is because I actually have loop automatically turned on. Okay, so here we go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and hit record, and because I have my in of 1 bar, we're gonna hear 4 clicks, and then it's go time. So here we go. Wish me luck. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you could if you want, but I think we'll be all right. All right, and begin. So I'm gonna let this go at least 2 times around, and now shaker. Okay. So we're recording. It might not seem like we're recording. It might be like, how are you recording? Like, where is it going, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna let this go a little bit longer, and then inevitably I'm gonna stop the recording. But what I'll do is, and it doesn't really matter, you could approach this however you'd like, meaning I could go ahead and hit stop up here, and that will stop the recording. The clips will keep playing. Or I could come over here and hit stop. Okay? Either or is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit stop right here on the session. Okay? Recording is still recording, and that's okay. That's fine. It's not recording anything. So I can come up here and hit stop as well. And now everything is stopped. Okay? So where's my recording though? Where did it go, right? The arrangement view. So if I hit tab, here is my recording. Okay? This is what you just heard me doing in real time. Now, this is one of the, I don't want to use the word tricky, but one of the things you just need to get used to, how Ableton behaves, or how live behaves when you're working from the session view into the arrangement view. You'll notice that there's like, the clips are kind of grayed out a little bit here. And that's because the session view and the arrangement view are connected in certain ways. Something to understand is that, look, these clips are still here. We can manipulate these further, and I'm going to show you. But what you need to understand is that these clips created a copy. When I performed them, it actually recorded them as a copy in here. So you can almost think of them as, now I have twice the amount of clips. Think of it like that. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. Because these clips are no longer associated with these clips, believe it or not. So if I do any further manipulation to these clips, I still have my original copies here. And Ableton does that because, look, maybe I do something to this clip, let's say hypothetically, and I feel like I ruin it, quote unquote ruin it, and I wish I had the original copy so I could maybe do a new recording. You can come back to it. It's still here. It's still there for you, okay? So, but before I start even looking at this audio and start manipulating it further, if I want to, you have to do something here, okay? If you look right here, you'll see this little orange ticker. It looks like a little like play button, and it has like these three little lines that represent the arrangement view. This is what we call getting back to the arrangement. So Ableton's saying, like, look, if you're done in the session view for now, cool. If you want to actually start working the arrangement view, you have to click on this button here. So when I do that, now I can actually start playing around with these clips. And here's the fun thing, guys, is that you can play this back. I can just click over here to play back in the beginning, or I can use the arrow key over here to get back to the beginning of the set. I can hit spacebar, or I can hit the play key. Okay, and listen back. And I can expand these clips and see what's happening under the hood. I can play ahead if I want. I can further manipulate these and maybe turn the volumes down over here. Okay, maybe adjust the panning on some of these. Now, this is the weird thing. So even though these clips are not associated with these clips, okay, however, the track titles are, and the track functions are. What do I mean by that? Look, if I turn this one off, go back to the session view, this one is now off. Okay? So you're not recording new tracks, you're just recording new audio, all right? And so if I adjust the reverb here, watch. If I go ahead and bring the reverb all the way up on this one, let's go back to the arrangement or session view, and you can see it's been turned up here. And if I turn it down, go back, you can see it's been turned down here. Now it does look a little bit different. I realize this, you realize this. But so some things are connected and then some things are not, okay? And it just, again, it takes a little while to get used to. So if I rename this clip, all right, and by the way, the key command for that is Command R, or you could right click to rename it. and I just call it drums. Okay, and I even right click on it to change its color like this. Okay, change it to this pinkish color. Now hit tab, and you see, and changed. Okay, so the arrangement view is where you inevitably will end up. Even if you love working in the session view, say you exclusively only work in the session view, inevitably you'll find yourself in the arrangement view if you plan on exporting a project into a full working compositional piece of music. And there's things you can do in the arrangement view, okay, that help you figure out what your arrangement's going to be, okay? For example, like if I'm looking at this view, it's nice that I have the arrangement position, and then over here I have the loop start punch in position, and then over here I have the loop the region, the punch in region. Like the position, the start time, that's nice when we have it in full measures or bars, and then quarter notes, and then 16th notes. That's wonderful, right? But how long is my song? Okay, and not to say you can't see this in the session view, but in the arrangement view, it's nicely laid out. So up here, this is the beat time ruler, and then down here, we actually have the actual real time in real time. So if I look at this recording, I know from 0 seconds to almost about a minute, I have worth of a recording, okay? So let's say you're like, oh, I wish I could maybe re-record this so that this part came in a little bit sooner. The good news is that you don't have to do this in real time. I can literally click on this clip and drag it back. So let's say I want my drums to actually start in the beginning. I can do that. And now I can hit play up here or hit spacebar, and you'll hear the drums right in the beginning. Maybe for whatever reason, let me just give you another hypothetical example. Maybe with the arrangement, I want the horns to come in 2 bars in, okay? 2 bars in, and now I can come up here and hit play. Oh, see, it started from there, so I'm going to use this arrow key right here to get back. This is the preview locator, so I can actually bring it back to the beginning. Okay, go ahead and hit play. So now it's just these drums, and now the horns, and now the Roomba shaker. Okay. Yeah, so again, this is a wonderful way to start manipulating, and there's definitely a lot of great, wonderful key commands. All the key commands for working in the arrangement, when it comes to duplicating, cutting time, pasting time, things like that, all live in this area. Now, again, because this is only a 1 hour segment, I'm not going to dive into all that stuff. If you were to sign up and take a class with us, of course, our classes range from 3 hours to 6 hour lessons with, of course, breaks in between, but we get into all of those finer details when it comes to just tips and tricks when it comes to working in the arrangement, right? So that's one way, okay? That's one way. And just one more thing I want to point out to you, though, before we move on to the next segment, is when I play these, okay, let me go ahead and just hit play. You're listening to the arrangement view, all right? Let me hit tab. This is the session view. Now, it might seem like we're listening to these clips in the session view. This is where people get confused, but we're not. We're listening to these clips. I know, weird, right? What would happen if I tried playing one of these clips while the arrangement view is playing? Watch. Something weird's happening. Because I played this clip, these 2 clips continue to play, but look at my arrangement one now. It's been grayed out. So technically this one's not playing anymore. It's this clip. Okay, so again, I know some of you might be like, wait, why? Why does this exist? Again, because over time, let me just give you a scenario. Over time, you might find yourself manipulating a lot of different clips, and you want to preview things against each other. Okay, we call it A-Being. A/B, meaning what would it sound like with the effect on? What would it sound like without the effect on? What would it sound like with this clip modulated and that clip not modulated? So you can mix and match, like it's almost like puzzle pieces, or you're painting on a canvas, like which colors actually work together, which colors don't. And if you're just starting out for the first time, especially when it comes to sound, like what sounds complement each other, what sounds don't, okay? And I just want to point something else out, is that when you're working with clips like this, the fun thing is that you can create copies of them in the session view and further manipulate them. So let me give you an example. If I literally wanted more than one copy of these drums, okay, all you have to do is hold down the Option key or the Alt key for those of you who are on Windows, and click and drag down, and you can create as I think as many copies as you want. I've never actually reached a limit, but let's just say for now, as many as your computer can handle, or again, depending on which working version of Ableton you're using. I know there are some limitations depending on which version you're using, but let's just say it's a lot for now. Okay, so here's a lot of the same exact clips. Now, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to create copies of the same clip? Okay, let me show you. So I'm going to work back in the session view, all right? And this time, I'm actually going to go ahead and delete these. Okay, I can highlight all of these like this, and I can hit delete and start over again. You might be like, wait, why are you starting over? Well, here's something else I want to point out, is that there are, again, different ways to record into the arrangement view. And I'm not there yet, but I will talk about this in a moment. So let's say I create a copy of this, okay? What could I possibly do to this clip to make it sound different than this clip? That's where you want to turn your attention to this zone, this area, okay? The clip editor area. If you're not seeing this when you load a clip in, okay? Something you need to understand, something I need to point out here, is that you got to make sure you're actually highlighted on the clip itself. If you're highlighted on the track, you're not going to see the clip. It will say drop audio effects down here. And if this is collapsed, maybe you actually accidentally collapse this area here. You need to, this is the detailed view area, but if you look in the bottom right hand corner here of my screen, you have this toggle arrow here. Maybe you accidentally hit the key command for this. So if you're not seeing this area here, it's because you could have accidentally collapsed it. So again, if I want to actually see the clip editor, if I actually want to display that to further manipulate the audio, I need to double click on the clip itself. And yes, these are two different clips, okay? And just to kind of show you the difference here so you don't get these two confused, or I don't get confused by them, this is why you might want to rename things, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and rename this clip and just call it my test clip, and I'm going to give it a different color so you can tell the difference, okay? So yes, this is the green one here for the original drums clip, and then this test one is now labeled test, and it's purple. So here's the fun thing. Inside here, okay, this is where you can further manipulate the audio, and we can do things like transpose. So maybe I want to pitch these drums up or down. I can manually do that by maybe going down 12 semitones. Let me go ahead and hit play. Okay, now let's hit play on this one. So this is what I meant earlier. So when you're recording different pieces together, you can A/B them and see which ones you like, which ones you don't like, and then get rid of the ones you don't like, and then further explore the ones you do like. So here's another example. I can also do this with the synth, or the little horn sample here. Again, hold the Option key, Alt key, and drag down and copy. This one, I'll rename. I'll just call it horn 2. Give it a different color. Okay, and let me give you another example. What could I do with this one? I could change its BPM value by either having it, literally making it half the speed, or I can double the original tempo. Okay, let me give you an example of that. I'm gonna half it, so now it's reading at 36.5 beats per minute, and then when I go and hit play, Let me just go ahead and stop the drums here. So this is the original. And now here's the manipulated audio. Let's play it with my other horns, or my drums. Let's play the original. So the cool thing is, guys, is that maybe, and let's do one more. Let's do the Roomba shaker. Okay. The Roomba shaker. This one, I could actually maybe just loop a region and make it even shorter than what it was before. Because loop's already activated, what I could do is change the length by clicking right here and bringing the length down. Okay? Maybe I could find a different spot for it. This. And then actually decrease it even more. Like that. By clicking and dragging. This is called the loop brace. And this flag right here is the start brace, or the starting point. Okay, so here's my first scene. Here's my first idea. Now the second idea. Back to the verse. So again, this is a great way where you can start manipulating audio and further exploring it. Now, let me just, full disclosure here. There's a lot more you can do. Trust me, okay? There's a lot more you can do in this area. And again, I'm not going to go into a huge deep dive into this today. We're going to talk about MIDI and manipulating audio further. And again, check out one of our courses, especially in Ableton. We talk about this stuff. But let me just give you a fun example, something you can explore right now if you want to get going. Is inside here, we have what's called the envelope section, and we can actually further explore what's called in the clip region with the transposition. So for fun, if I actually wanted to manipulate or maybe transpose the horns in real time, I could do something like this. Okay, so again, I'm just manipulating the audio that I already had. And you can go in any direction you want. Well, you can either go up or down, but all the way up to 48 semitones, or all the way down negative 48 semitones. So I can create multiple copies of this. I can do as much as I want. Hey, let's even get weird, maybe for fun. We'll just do some weird kind of vibrato-y, that's not a word, but vibrato kind of stylized version of and if you don't know what vibrato is, it's just changing the pitch at a really fast rate. But in this case, I'm doing it manually by what we call automating the clip's transposition in the clip editor. Yeah, so again, you can have fun with this. Things can really start to get interesting the more you explore this. And let me put this in a different mode here. I'm going to put it in what's called this warp mode is called complex. Yeah, now you can really hear the affected audio. And I can make copies of this. Like maybe I want to have a version where it's, you know, I'll just call it verb, or VIB for short. Okay. And then this one, I will set it back to its original settings. So if I go to clip and then I go to transpose, then I just highlight this and then I hit delete. Okay. So now I have this version and then I have this version, and maybe, I don't know, maybe for fun, I'll just start with it like this. And then all right, so you can have fun with this. And again, you can record all these ideas. But let me show you something else. Okay, so I showed you how you can record these clips in real time, right? But let's say you don't want to record them in real time. Let's say you want to actually get to manipulating the audio in the arrangement view right away, right off the bat. Okay, so after I've manipulated the audio in this view, okay, I played around in the clip editor, but now I want to manipulate the audio further with the arrangement. I can do that. How? Okay, now this process might not be as fun for you, but but it's something. It might feel a little tedious, but also you have a little bit more kind of control over where you want your clips to start, where you want them to end, where you maybe want them to restart, etc. So for example, I want to drag this drum clip into the arrangement view. Now we know when we hit tab, that will pop us into the arrangement view. Hit tab, go back to the session view. But if I click and hold down a clip, literally click and hold it down with your mouse, hit the tab key, and then drag in like this. Yeah, so I literally just quote unquote recorded. Okay, I say quote unquote because we're not associating with recording in real time, but I recorded, meaning I literally just dragged this clip in to the arrangement view without having to record it in real time. Cool, right? So with that being said, maybe I want to extend this loop further. And the fun thing is that you can click on this little brace here and I can drag it out. Now, if for some reason you're trying to drag out a clip and it's not working, you're like, what is going on here? Remember, in the clip editor, this is the loop switch. If this is not turned on, you cannot extend this loop without having to duplicate it. It's not a big deal, but if you have this loop brace on, yeah, check this out. You can just click and drag it out as long as you want, which is really nice. So maybe I want this to start. Well, this beat's gonna play all the way until, let's make it 30 seconds long like that, okay? Let's go hit tab again, and let's pick out another one. Let's maybe pick out the synth clip. And I'm gonna click and drag it, and I'm just going to hold down and then move it over. And then maybe these horns come in, and then I click and drag them like this. Okay. Now let's do it with the other one, the Roomba shaker. I'm gonna click, hold down, hit tab, drag in like this, and maybe they come in later like that. And I'm like, I actually want them to stop after the bar measure of 13, so I can click and then use this bracket to move it in like that. So this is the original loop, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. Here's an issue. I have all these other parts, right? But how can I add them in? Like, how could I maybe get the test drums inside here? The good news is, guys, is that you can just click and drag and literally put it anywhere you want over the clip. Okay? I can say, you know what? I want it here. And then I want this one to come back like this, or I could take this bracket and move it like that. Okay? The same thing goes for any of these other clips. The horns, maybe I want these horns to only happen right here. And then maybe the room shaker number 2, I want to happen right here. And then I can click and drag that out as many times as I want. Okay? So again, it's another way to further explore manipulating audio. And again, some people like the idea of recording in real time, which I understand. That's fine. And some people like to take their time and maybe mix and match and manipulate audio. Now, one other thing I didn't show you, but I'll tell you now, is that you might be wondering this because I showed you how to click and drag in audio clips into the session view. Can you just click and drag tracks into the arrangement view? The answer is yes. Now you might be like, hold on a second. Did you just show us all these steps for no reason? No. Okay. Again, like I said, there are things you can do in the session view that you cannot do in the arrangement view. All right. Now I didn't go into detail what those things are. Again, if you want to take a class, if you want to explore our options, the Garnish Music Production School, there and watch some of our other YouTube videos, especially some of the ones by the group, SF Garnish Music Group. They go into a lot of ways to explore and further manipulate audio. So either watch some of our other YouTube videos or maybe consider signing up for a class. But regardless of that, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there is a point to it. So if I wanted to maybe take some other audio clips, for example, maybe, look, I don't want to use what Ableton's given me. Maybe I signed up for splice.com or sounds.com, or maybe my friend gave me their sample pack and I want to throw those clips in mixed in with other clips. Can you do that? The answer is yes, and it's actually really easy to do. So I have some loops from some friends, and let's say I want to use some of those loops that are not associated with Ableton, that I've purchased or downloaded from various other third-party resources. Can you click and drag those clips in? The answer is yes. So let me preview a sound for you. Okay, and maybe I could use something like that, or maybe I could use some, like maybe a percussive tambourine that my friend put together. Cool. All I have to do is click and drag below like this, and it will automatically load it into a audio track. But let me just point something out here. This is important. So you're seeing this percussive loop in here, right? Hit tab. You'll see in the arrangement, or in the session view, you will see the track title bar, but not an extra copy. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. If I manipulate this audio in any shape or form, I have to go back to its original source to load in another copy, or what I could do is click and hold tab and drag it in like this as well, and now I have a copy of it. Okay, so I literally just reversed the process from the session view to the arrangement view, and now we went from the arrangement view into the session view. So again, it's not just tab. You have to click and hold tab, and then you can drag it in. So I have a copy. But yes, now I could take this shaker sound and maybe throw it in the beginning, and now it's its own track. And maybe I want to further manipulate it by, here's a fun one. This is reversing. So you can actually reverse the audio, play it backwards. It'll sound like this. Let me go ahead and turn it down. Maybe I want a copy of it, one to be reversed and one not to be reversed. How do I do that? Here's a great key command for you, Command D. You could also do it the standard way, which is Command C and Command V on Mac, Appletosh, Command P or Command C for Windows. But I could take this reverse copy and then unreverse it, and then maybe do things like this, where I say, okay, let's rename it. This is the reverse one. This is the OG original. And then maybe for fun, I'll mix and match these where you have the reverse one come in right at the tail end of the clip. I can highlight the whole section and hit Command D. So now it sounds like this. I'm like, oh, I really like that shaker. Can we keep it going? Yup. I like the whole region. Command D, just like that. But let's listen to this. Let's listen to this whole thing. I'm gonna go ahead and drop these down, and I'm gonna check the YouTube channel right now to see if there's been any questions so far. Because we only have a few minutes left, guys. So, oh, let's hit play here. Just gonna go ahead and loop this. So yeah, a little preview for you. And what I like to do, again, to kind of further explore these ideas, change the tempo. what would it sound like at 121 beats per minute? Okay, and you can also slow it down or speed it up. But again, so everyone, this is just an introduction to getting stuff in there, meaning getting audio clips in there. Whether you're using MIDI or an actual waveform itself, you can see here it's very easy to load clips in. Now, I showed you intentionally how to load clips in from Ableton itself. I should go ahead and tell you that are there other ways to load clips in? The answer is yes. You can actually literally click and drag stuff from your desktop, which I don't recommend you do. Try to keep your files organized. Again, try to keep all your files into one folder or one place, whether it's an external hard drive or something that's embedded right inside your hard drive on your desktop computer or laptop computer. But try to keep those things organized, and I highly recommend that you only try to load your sounds in, if you can, from either adding a folder here in the places section if you want to customize this, or from one of the Ableton packs that you can search through here, whether it's the clips or samples, drums or sounds. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. Real quick before we go, okay, before we take off, before we call it a day, I just want to real quick turn your attention back to the Garnish website. So again, if you want to learn more about the classes that we offer, you can head over to edu.garnishmusicproduction.com to learn more about the school itself. Learn about, you can look up the instructors. So if you want the background history on all the wonderful, talented instructors that teach in all of the different school locations. Currently, our online courses, as with the recording of this video, the live online courses are 33% off right now. And you can see here we offer more than just Ableton Live courses, from Logic Pro X, FL Studios. We get sound design, mixing, mastering, and there's also a really wonderful new program called Build Beats Better Pro, where we specifically have different genres that we talk about and explore music production in the realm of, like, for example, like hip hop production to electronic essentials, rhythms, vocals, orchestral, and things like that. So yeah, and again, if you like what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, this is streaming to a lot of places. We're on Twitch, we're on Discord, Facebook, of course, Instagram, to keep up with the latest streams. We do these every day, 1 hour. I will be back at this time, same place, Saturdays, 11 to 12 West Coast time. That's the Pacific Coast in the United States. And yeah, let's see. Was there any questions for me about Ableton? Not seeing any, but anyways, okay, so I still have a minute here. One last thing I will point out before we go, because let's not waste any of the let's use up all of our time here, right? What if I wanted to save this project? Okay, what if I actually wanted to save it? So you can learn more about this in the overview section of the YouTube channel. If you want to watch any of those videos on how to save projects, I talk about that. But this is just good review. So if I actually like what I have here, I can come down and say live set as, or I could do something very important called collect all and save. Why? Because I'm using audio clips. I want to contain all the files within. I go ahead and give it a title, call it Garnish Beat, and I will put it in a dedicated folder. I have my folders labeled by month and year. Okay, and I go ahead and hit save. And that's it. Hopefully it saves. It should save. Drum roll. Yeah, it's saving. Okay, guys. So thank you again for tuning in. And I will be back here next week. Till next time, take care.